If you never played Dust Tactics and you want to get a sense of how the game plays, this is the place to start. There are still copies of the original base set available online, but they're very expensive, and if you've never tried the game, maybe you want to give it a try before you commit to a huge expense. This is the revised core set, which contains everything that you need to get started playing Dust Tactics. I see that there are copies online available for around $80. I found my copy at my friendly local game store, and I did buy it for $80, which is reasonable for what you find in here, which is a good set of beautiful miniatures, terrain tiles, terrain posters, a scenario book, the rule book of course, plastic elements that represent cover. And definitely you have here enough scenarios, terrain, and units to play some interesting battles. Small battles for sure, but still real battles, not fake engagements that just give you a sense of how the mechanics work, but do not allow you to really get a sense of how the game feels. Even if you were only to buy this game and never anything else, you would have a small, entertaining combat game that definitely is fun to play. This is a starter set, yes, but I think it has a certain dignity, a certain identity as a standalone set, which is pretty remarkable because I've seen many other starter sets that really are unplayable by themselves. They're just, basically you pay to have a training session. This is a game. Small one, in a way, but a game. The only issue that I have with this set here is that the Axis units are very good at ranged combat, whereas the allied units in this set specialize in melee combat and close range combat. So if you have a scenario in which there isn't much cover available on the board, the Axis units are going to have a big advantage because they're going to be able to inflict a lot of damage on the allies as the allies are approaching them, and therefore the allies will receive a lot of damage before they get in position to actually attack the opponent. In scenarios where there is enough cover for the allies to reach the Axis units before they can fire too much against them, then the situation is different. But this is the only non-balanced element that I found in this set, and it is easy to fix, as I'm going to show you next. Okay, you liked the revised core set, of course you did, because that's an awesome set, you had a lot of fun, and now you want to expand your armies. How can you do it? What should be in your next order? Well, this is the order that I placed after purchasing and loving and trying and loving the revised core set, and this is what was in that order, and I'll tell you what my rationale was. First, the two walkers, one for the allies and one for the Axis. Now, you see multiple images, multiple sculptures on the box. Actually, each box only contains one walker, let's say one body of a walker. But then it also has weapons that you attach to that walker, and that allows you basically to use that walker as a different model of walker from game to game. For example, in one game you could use these weapons, and then this walker here has very powerful artillery strikes. In another game you use these other weapons here. Now that walker behaves differently. So you have great replay value there because you can use that single model as several types of models. Very good. And having a medium walker, a big guy like that on the board, will change the dynamics overall. Important units that you will want to have: commanders. These are the commanders for the Axis, and these are the commanders for the allies. Commander squads have special abilities that will allow them to heal other units that were wounded during combat, activate units that have activated again during a turn, so a unit may act twice. They may even be able to bring back units that were destroyed earlier in the game. Very powerful units. They are a game changer. They add a lot of layers to the experience, a lot of fun. I really recommend getting these guys as soon as you can. Then another interesting add is the special ops. The special ops squads, again, Axis and allies. Actually, these groups here are divided in two separate groups. Snipers and groups and units are not very powerful, but what they do pretty much is to call artillery strikes, which is good to have if you have an artillery unit on the board and you have a nice interaction there. And the snipers are not particularly powerful, but there are situations in which you want to hit a specific target in a crowd, then the sniper is the unit that you need to use for that. Also, not gonna go strictly necessary, but I added Axis Zombies, which are very good melee squad, and Allied Grim Reapers, which are good in melee and at long range. I did this to balance the problem that I mentioned before, which is in the core set to have the Axis is so good at range combat and the allies so good in close range combat. Well, this balance things. Now we have a melee unit for the Axis and a medium long range unit for the allies. Also, you do not see it here, but I purchased with this order a terrain tile set. I cannot show you the box because it didn't come in one. It is a set of tiles that allows you to create your own battles. Also comes with a scenario book. And let me tell you, once you add these things with the terrain tiles, you have a game. You have a whole game. It's not just a starter set, a core set. Here you have a game together with the revised core set, enough units, tiles to create a lot of different battles that you will come up with. You can customize your own battles. You can play regular size battles by using all of your units. You can play slightly smaller battles when you do not use all of your units. So actually you're customizing things, you're playing battles that are different from battle to battle because of different composition of units. You have variety of walkers that you bring in. By spending the money for these things here, combined it with the revised set, you have a game that you could just play for a long time. This is a full, satisfying, flavorful, great game that you have here by combining that other set with these components here. And now you're hooked to the game. You have a whole game that you could play for a very long time, but you can't get enough. You need more units. I know how it feels, trust me, I've been there. And this is what I have done to cope with that. I've ordered more stuff. What did I order? Light walkers, so same idea that you have in the medium walkers, that is a body of the walker but with different weapons that will allow you to use that as different models, where we play value there. Lighter, they go down more easily, but they have some interesting abilities. Heroes, very good. These are single units that you combine with a squad, and they basically lend their abilities to the squad, and the squad lends some abilities to them, so they can work as a very interesting entity with a unit. And again, that increases replay value because units will function in different ways when combined with heroes. Then you have some more generic combat squads, more firepower, more combat going on, more fight ability, more capabilities. Not huge difference maybe from other units, but I wanted to have them, and I wanted to have slightly different combinations of weapons that I could bring to battle. Actually, probably this unit here, the Axis Laser Grenadiers, is a little different from the other ones. Otherwise, we have Barbecue Squad with flamethrowers and stuff, Recon Boys, the Axis Recon Grenadiers. Here we have another recon unit. It's the same unit. I pretty much ordered 2 copies of the same unit by mistake, but it's okay. More customization here. And then here I have the tank busters, so heavy unit, and the name pretty much tells you what they do. They specialize in combat against vehicles. And then you realize that you're not many units away from having at least a copy of each unit in the Axis and in the Allied army. So what you gonna do? You're gonna get those units, of course, right? Heavy walkers, one for the Allies, one for the Axis. Same idea, one big guy with weapons to use that as multiple models. Huge monstrosities these guys are. They occupy 4 squares of the grid. They're very hard to destroy, huge pain for the opponent. They definitely change the dynamic around them on the board. Then we have more medium walkers, an amphibian medium walker, and just a heavy hitter medium walker for the Axis. Heavy commander units, they have the same abilities like the commanders that they showed you earlier, but they're better at fighting. Then we have the gunners and the battle grenadiers. These are 2 5-soldier units, but actually they both come with an extra soldier and with an extra unit card. That means that with these 6 soldiers you can actually create 2 different types of units, 2 5-soldier units. It is the same idea that you have here with the interchangeable weapons, but this is with interchangeable miniatures. The Red Devils, which are allied, paratroopers, and then the Axis Guerrillas, which are a powerful melee squad of the Axis, but they're powerful only if you combine them with Marcus the Hero. That hero is the natural leader of the Guerrillas. They're really only good with him, and in order to get him, you need to purchase the Silo campaign set. That's where you find him, which is what I also did here with this set. And because at this point I had played many battles, I didn't mind having a new campaign set, a new terrain tiles, and a scenario book, and I like the idea to be able to put to good use a unit as thematically interesting and fascinating as the Axis Guerrillas. And with this, more or less, if I'm not wrong, you have a copy of each unit in the Axis and Allied army. And then there will be a point in which you may want to add the 3rd army in the Dusty universe, which is the Sino-Soviet Union army. Here I have 2 medium walkers. Again, it is the same type of walker, versatile with different weapons. I bought 2 copies so that I could field the 2 of them in the same battle if I so wished. 2 copies of the rifle squad for the same reason. Command squad, we know command squads are important. Other types of infantry squads here, commissar squad, and a helicopter. And the miniature for this helicopter is just amazing, is beautiful. Who doesn't want a helicopter in their dust collection or in pretty much any collection? Helicopters just one of those things, you can always have one and be happy. Tell me that you do not want a helicopter in your dust collection. Tell me that with a straight face, and I will believe that you're a great liar and you should be acting. Anyways, this is everything for now. Now you saw how many units you have if you collect pretty much every unit that came out so far. I simply do not have some of the heroes that come with some campaign expansions that I do not have yet. Probably forgot 1 or 2 units here and there, but this collection that you saw in this video is pretty close to pretty much everything that was printed so far, that came out so far. So certainly creating a collection of Dust Tactics models is going to be an investment. I personally started selling some of my old games to defray the cost, but the game is great. The game is fun. great replay value when you have an amount of units sufficient to create different battles with different types of armies. When we're talking about miniature games, actually this one, which is expensive per se, is one of the most inexpensive miniature games. You will not find many other miniature games that have this quality. Miniatures so detailed, so beautiful, even when unpainted, and at this price. It is expensive, but relative to the miniature gaming world, it is definitely one of the least expensive. And then, really, and again, this is just such a phenomenal game, and this should be the bottom line.